Third loss of the year for Aryna Sabalenka.
Because of the way the seeds work with the 32 seeds at majors.
Aryna Sabalenka, world number one.
Aryna Sabalenka, the world number one, a four-time Grand Slam champion, and one of the most dominant forces in women's tennis, stepped onto the clay courts in Rome expected to win. But instead, she suffered a shocking defeat against a 35-year-old opponent ranked outside the top 50. After the match, visibly frustrated and stunned, she walked off the court, approached the microphone, and said just 7 words, words that could echo all the way to Paris and may haunt her for the rest of her season.
I overthink that because we're trying our best to see how far we can.
Aryna Sabalenka, the world number one, a 4-time Grand Slam champion, and one of the most dominant forces in women's tennis, walked off the clay courts in Rome after a shocking defeat that no one fully expected. A player known for power, control, and dominance, suddenly looked human. After the match, she stepped in front of the microphone and said, "My body was limiting me from performing at the highest level." A simple sentence, but one that carried far more weight than it seemed. Because just one day earlier, she had warned the tennis world that the WTA had become extremely deep and dangerous, a place where losing focus for even a single moment could end your tournament instantly. She was right. But she didn't realize she was also describing herself. And while the tennis world focused on Sabalenka's struggles, another story was quietly building on the same clay. A 20-year-old left-handed rising star from Manila, Alex Eala, was preparing for something much bigger than anyone realized. Training on clay, adjusting her topspin, refining her movement, and working closely with one of the greatest clay court minds in tennis history. Because this time, there were no shortcuts. No wild card. No qualifying rounds. For the first time in her career, Alex Eala was entering a Grand Slam main draw purely on ranking. Earned. Not gifted. And she wasn't doing it alone. Toni Nadal, the man behind 14 Roland Garros titles with Rafael Nadal, had taken a direct role in shaping her clay court identity. Every detail mattered: higher net clearance, heavier topspin, smarter shot selection, and most importantly, patience. The ability to construct points instead of rushing them. This wasn't just coaching. This was transformation. And that version of Alex Eala was now stepping into Roland Garros 2026. Meanwhile, Sabalenka's clay season was slowly unraveling. Madrid brought an early exit. Rome brought another shocking loss, this time to a lower-ranked opponent, and again, she pointed to her physical condition as the reason she could not perform at her best. Her team later admitted that preparations had been completely changed this season, after multiple years of arriving at the French Open not fully fit. 3 straight seasons of struggle in Paris. 3 straight seasons of unfinished business. And in the middle of all this, Sabalenka told the media that the WTA is now so deep that anyone can lose on any given day. A true statement, but one that suddenly felt very personal. Because on the same clay swing, Alex Eala was doing something completely different. Winning tight matches, surviving 3-set battles, beating seeded opponents, and growing more dangerous with every round. In her opening match in Rome, she survived a 3-set battle after a dominant first set and a momentum swing in the second, showing she could absorb pressure and still recover. Then came another strong win against a seeded opponent, controlled, confident, and efficient. Each match added something new: belief. Not just talent anymore, but presence. And as Sabalenka exited early in Rome, Eala was still building momentum on the same surface that defines champions. Now everything leads to Paris. Roland Garros 2026 begins May 24th. The draw ceremony is just days away. And the entire tennis world is watching the bracket closely. Because if Sabalenka and Eala land in the same section, it could create one of the most anticipated storylines of the tournament. One champion fighting to rediscover dominance. And one rising star stepping into her first real Grand Slam identity. But the real story goes beyond a single matchup. It is about a shift happening in women's tennis. New players are no longer waiting for permission. They are taking space, taking wins, and taking belief on the biggest stages. And Alex Eala is becoming one of the clearest examples of that change. A Filipina rising on merit. Guided by one of the greatest clay court coaches in history. Arriving at Roland Garros not as a story, but as a threat. Strasbourg is the final stop. Paris is next.
Forward.
I think she's committed to it, and what she's showing is, she's always had this tennis within her. And
April 24th.
April 24th, 2026, Madrid. Second round. Elise Mertens, the 19th seed, a seasoned Belgian veteran, stood across the court from Alex Eala, a player many expected to compete, not collapse. But what happened was not close. 6-2, 6-1. Over in under an hour. A match that exposed the brutal reality of clay court tennis at the highest level. Now, there are two ways a player responds to a loss like that, just days before a Grand Slam. The first is denial, excuses, protection of ego, waiting for confidence to return on its own. The second is confrontation. To go back to the source. To the coach who understands clay better than almost anyone alive. And ask the hard questions. Eala chose the second. Within 48 hours, she was back on the practice courts at the Rafa Nadal Academy, rebuilding, adjusting, refining. No noise. No statements. Just work. 11 days later, she arrived in Rome. And something had changed. In her opening match, she delivered a statement performance, a 6-0 first set that signaled not just improvement, but intent. She wasn't trying to survive the clay season anymore. She was trying to own it. After her run in Rome, including a competitive battle against top opposition, she posted a message that revealed everything about her mindset. Rome heard me this time. Not frustration. Not apology. Arrival. And while that momentum was building, another narrative was collapsing elsewhere. Aryna Sabalenka, world number 1, four-time Grand Slam champion, had just exited Rome after a shocking defeat to a 35-year-old ranked outside the top 50. A match that echoed her own warning. Because just days earlier, Sabalenka had said something that now feels impossible to ignore: losing focus for even a second can end your tournament on clay. She was right. It ended hers. And it came at a moment when the rest of the field was shifting around her. A 20-year-old rising force navigating clay with increasing control, and a world number 1 suddenly struggling to hold her own rhythm. Meanwhile, Eala's development was no accident. Behind the scenes, Toni Nadal, the man who built 14 Roland Garros titles with Rafael Nadal, had been shaping her game specifically for Paris. Higher topspin. Smarter point construction. Patience on clay. Discipline over power. Not shortcuts, structure. And now that structure is being tested on the biggest stage she has ever entered. Because for the first time, Eala is entering Roland Garros 2026 on ranking alone. No wildcard. No qualifying. No exceptions. Just merit. The WTA itself had already hinted at this collision course months earlier, tying Sabalenka's dominance and Eala's breakthrough into the same evolving narrative of women's tennis. But now, that narrative is no longer theoretical. It is about to become a draw. Strasbourg is the final stop before Paris. The draw ceremony is May 22nd. Roland Garros begins May 24th. And everything now depends on a single moment: the bracket. Because if Sabalenka and Eala land in the same quarter, the sport gets exactly what it has been building toward without fully saying it out loud. A rising star with momentum, against a champion fighting to stabilize her season. But here is the truth: the draw won't create the story. It will only reveal it. And when it does, every match from that point forward will carry consequences. So the only question left is this: how far can Alex Eala go at Roland Garros 2026? And will Sabalenka be waiting in her path, or already gone before the story even begins? Roland Garros is coming. And the clay is ready to decide everything.